Welcome to Gay Fairfax, the National Capital Area's only weekly gay magazine featuring news, views, and pride. I'm Dave Hughes.
And I'm Beth Goodman. Each week we'll feature personalities and events of interest to the gay women and men of the Northern Virginia area.
Discrimination. We've all been victims of it in one form or another. But discrimination within the gay community? It does happen. On this edition of Gay Fairfax, we'll meet two men from an organization called Black and White Men Together, who are helping to fight discrimination of all kinds.
And Karen Brown will take us behind the scenes into the editorial offices of the Washington Blade, the metro area's well-known gay newspaper.
But first, here's Peg McCraw with this week's gay trivia question.
What actor, a regular on Hollywood Squares, when asked, "Why do motorcyclists wear leather?" replied, "Because chiffon wrinkles too easily"? Stay tuned for the answer at the end of the show.
The Washington Blade is the leading news publication for gay people in the Washington metropolitan area. From its humble beginnings as a mimeographed neighborhood newsletter, the Blade has grown into a highly respected and widely circulated newspaper covering local and national events of interest to gay people. Lisa Keene, senior editor, is a guiding force behind the paper's success.
Few gays in the Washington area aren't familiar with the Washington Blade. For tens of thousands, the Blade is the foremost source for information on gay issues, entertainment, and community events.
The Washington Blade.
Featuring news and information that gays won't find anywhere else, according to editor Lisa Keene, the weekly tabloid has unfolded into a respected Washington institution, rising to fill a need in the D.C. gay community.
Well, it got started in 1969, in October of 1969, just a few months after the Stonewall Rebellion. The Stonewall Rebellion had created a lot of excitement among gay people in the United States and had served as a catalyst for bringing a lot of gay people out of the closet and into political activism. And locally in D.C., what that meant was that about a dozen people got together in someone's living room and decided that they needed a way of communicating with one another in this area, so they decided, well, we'll just create a mimeograph sheet and put all the news on it and hand it out, and that's exactly what they did. So it was very modest beginnings, and it grew steadily during these past 20 years.
According to Blade marketer Len Brown, the Blade is primarily backed by advertisers, but distributors are also key to the paper's success.
The Blade is 20 years old, and again, I hearken back to it being a free paper. It is a giveaway paper. So the distribution network has been built over 20 years and was started with those who were sympathetic to the gay community. Bars, restaurants, gay-owned businesses, originally around DuPont Circle, started handing the Blade out or letting the Blade distribute from there.
Now given away at more than 300 locations in D.C. and its suburbs, including some 25 points in Northern Virginia, the paper has expanded not only its circulation, but its scope of reporting and its staff, now a full-time crew of 17.
The biggest difference has to be just simply in on the technical side of putting it out. But at the same time, I think activities in the gay community have increased so much in the past 20 years that the newspaper now is covering a whole new world than the newspaper was covering 20 years ago. 20 years ago, we were mostly talking about which new restaurants were having a gay night at their bar one night of the week, and that's not the front page news today. The front page news today are attacks on Capitol Hill, assertive politics on the part of gay people, and just, you know, a wide range of activities.
One way the Blade tracks activities and interests of its readers is through its twice-a-year surveys. Results have prompted more human interest stories and personality profiles as editors aim to meet the challenge of pleasing a very diverse audience.
Our readers are spanned a wide range of people. We're not all well educated with lots of disposable income and you know, white-collar jobs. We range from, you know, blue-collar workers to college professors to politicians to you name it.
The Washington Blade reaches between 65 and 75,000 people every Friday. Our readers are predominantly white. 75% of them are men. However, that market, those readers are affluent, well-educated, and the best part, the easiest part, the fun part for me, is that they're loyal.
Readers may stick by the Blade as consumers, but that does not mean they agree with everything the Blade publishes.
I think the most consistent complaint we get is people don't like some of the language used in personal ads, you know. Unfortunately, we don't write the personal ads. People who take the personal ads write them.
We exercise our option for editing quantity and quality, but we rarely deny anyone access to the gay community.
According to assistant to the publisher James Lamont, those ads that offend some are all a part of business.
It's become our second largest money-generating source of revenue. Our personals are pretty low-key compared to most in other gay papers. David Torreson is our classified ad manager, and he and I go over them every week. And what we'll do is we try to make sure that everything's stated positively. You know, instead of saying like no fats and femmes, we try to encourage people to say lean and masculine only or something like that. But he and I proof them, and you know, we take out all the dirty words and that kind of thing.
So there's a time and a place for everything, and the Blade is open to helping people in that regard find those resources. The advertising dollar also supports resource lists, community calendars. Again, so the paper supplies access not only to phone sex, but to every gay group, every nonprofit gay group that needs announcements, advertisements, fundraisers. It's about accessibility, and the Blade, I think, supplies that.
While the Blade keeps a good humor about debate over classifieds, editorial policy is serious on the issue of outing or exposing closeted gays. The Blade's approach to the ethical dilemma is one of caution and reason.
I think a lot of the debate around outing comes down to respect. Do you respect a person's privacy, or does some other interest outweigh that person's right to privacy? In each individual case, I think we have to weigh those things. And if there was a compelling reason to violate a person's privacy, I think we would consider that. We would weigh it. I'm not saying we would necessarily immediately act and bring that person out, but we would certainly weigh what that compelling reason is. I know one example that I've heard repeatedly that I've considered, but we've never had an example like this, is that if there was an anti-gay politician and we knew with irrefutable evidence that this man was engaging in homosexual activity at the same time he was lambasting gay people as being evil and Satan incarnate, I think that we would consider very strongly publishing information that this man is also engaging in homosexual activity. I think the hypocrisy of that situation and the amount of power that a politician can wield when lambasting other citizens is significant enough to consider violating his privacy at that point. We've never had something like that happen here yet. To my knowledge, we've never outed anyone, and I've been editor for 8 years now.
Although sensitive to gay causes, the Blade is not involved in activism. This policy helps the paper maintain its reputation as a fair and professional publication.
In many ways, the Blade's coverage of a news event is very much like the mainstream media would cover a news event in terms of following all the standard news practices for gathering news. We do that. We call both sides of an issue. If there's 3 or 4 sides, we call all 3 or 4 sides of an issue to try to get as well-rounded a story and as complete a picture of what's happening as possible. The way we differ is that as gay people and gay reporters, I think we see parts of a story that mainstream reporters don't see. And when it comes to AIDS, for instance, the mainstream publications won't tell you where you can go to get an anonymous test. They won't tell you at what T-cell count you should begin taking some sort of intervention. They won't tell you how to practice safe sex. We will. I think the Washington Blade's the best gay newspaper in this country. And we have won a number of awards. But that's not why I think we're the best gay newspaper in this country. I think it's because we're one of the few truly newspaper publications for the gay community in this country. Our mission is news.
Gay Fairfax needs you, energetic, dedicated people willing to work hard and have fun too. Use your creative talents to produce segments, write scripts, or interview guests on camera.
Learn a new skill. Become a camera operator, studio lighting technician, or technical director. You can make a difference, so become a part of the Gay Fairfax team. Together, we can help keep the pride alive.
Write to us at Gay Fairfax, in care of FLGCA, Post Office Box 2322, Springfield, Virginia 22152, or call us at 703-451-9528.
Despite its name, Black and White Men Together, this organization is open to women and multiracial couples of all types. They offer support and a non-threatening social setting for their members, and they've worked hard to eliminate prejudices and practices of discrimination in gay businesses. I recently talked to two of its members. With me today are two gentlemen from Black and White Men Together. On my far right is Joe Califf, and to my immediate right is Robert Dingle. Now, I can imagine that Black and White Men Together certainly is a social group and has social functions, but what are some of the other purposes of your group?
Well, it started out as a social group. It was started out in San Francisco about 11 years ago as an interracial dating organization. It's gone beyond that. Our purpose is to create an environment where we can break down cultural and racial barriers, and to create an environment where we can deal with racism, sexism, and homophobia with ourselves and out in the community. So it's gone beyond that. One of the first things that the D.C. chapter got involved in years ago was the carding policy at the bars, where blacks would be required to have 3 pieces of ID, and whites were let in with no identification. So we've gotten a lot involved with some of the other bigger issues in the community, more than just socializing.
Great. And you mentioned that it was started out in San Francisco. Are there BM, Black and White Men Together chapters all across the country now, or how many are there?
Yes, we have 24 chapters from California to New York City. And we have a statement. We also have to make clarify that we also have a connection chapter, MACT, that's Men's of All Colors Together. And it's just a branch off from BWMT.
Okay, and in fact, as I understand it, Black and White Men Together is not only just for black and white men. You've now expanded, to include any racial group or even women, correct?
Yes.
We want to try to be as open as possible. Some of our chapters have changed their name to Men of All Colors Together just to be more inclusive. Some of our chapters have a large number of Hispanic members. Some have women members. The chapter in Baltimore has a woman who's a co-chair, so it's gone beyond just Black and White Men Together. We in the D.C. area like the name because the name makes a statement. The society out there is polarized, and blacks do not mix with whites very well. And the name that we have is basically confronts that and says, hey, we're not following the rules. So we like the name, at least in the D.C. chapter, of Black and White Men Together. Great.
I'm sure that a group such as this might be controversial to some. What are some of the challenges you faced, some of the hurdles that your group has been able to overcome?
Well, as Joe stated before, the carding of the bars, and how we went in each, it was funny because each state had the same identical problem, and we went in with that to card and even sue some of the bars that we had problem with, and that was a major hurdle. And then dealing with AIDS in the minority neighborhoods and going in as a BWMT, a black and white group, and learning about the different Hispanics and blacks and different people, and that was pretty rough because you're going on someone else's turf, and being that we are in racial mix, that we are able to do that, but it's not easy.
The national organization got a grant from the Center for Disease Control a number of years ago to do AIDS education and create a national task force on AIDS prevention, which is located in San Francisco. And one of our members in Los Angeles created a workshop. It's a safe sex workshop called the Hot, Horny, and Healthy Play Shop. And through this grant, we trained chapters around the country. We've put them on here locally. And the idea is to eroticize safe sex, make it sound more interesting, and make a presentation, and try to reach out to the minority communities. The word about AIDS prevention really seems to have made a lot of success in the white community, but not really in the black and Hispanic communities. And if you look around the country, about half the new cases of AIDS are really the blacks and Hispanics. The word isn't getting out there. And more recently, we've worked with the Inner City AIDS Network, which is a city-funded AIDS service agency in D.C., to put on these play shops in the community and try to reach as many people as possible. It's difficult, but it's certainly something that needs to be done.
Great. Well, I have a question I'd like to ask each of you individually, and that is, what led you to join this group, and what are some of the rewards that you have felt since becoming a part of it?
Well, I've been a member for 8 years, and what had happened after my divorce, my wife and I divorced, and I have always, as a child, have always been interracial dating. I have always crossed the lines and the barriers, as they say. And so when I was in Baltimore, I just wanted to date, white men, Hispanic men, and I looked in the paper one day, and that was BWMT. And I said, if any organization provide a comfortable thing for me, comfortable dating interracial, would be BWMT. So I joined BWMT, and the rewards have been wonderful. I have met so many people of all different types, all racial lines, and it's one big family. And anywhere in the United States that I go, I can call up my brothers or sisters and get in touch with them. And personally, personally, I think I joined the best, organization around, and it's a family for me.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
One thing we love to do is to visit other chapters. We have an annual convention. There's going to be one coming up in Detroit in June, our annual national one. But we visit other chapters for their annual weekends. We've gone to Philadelphia this past year, and Atlanta, and Raleigh-Durham. We like to do that. Baltimore, and we had our annual convention here last October, and about 25 people from out of town came to visit. So that's one of the things we like to do.
Great. And why did you join, and what rewards have you personally got out of it?
I guess I was always interested in other cultures. I mean, there was some interest in me. When I was raised, we fought. I was tagged on picket lines when I was about 8 years old, protesting civil rights abuses. But we lived in an all-white community, and I didn't know anybody except whites. And later on, I started interracial dating, and when I came to D.C., I checked out BWMT because I'd heard about them before. Met nice people, so I came back again and again, and that was 4 years ago, so worked out pretty well. And we met 2 years ago at a BWMT Christmas party,
Great.
It worked out well.
So then is the group just for couples then, or is really anybody involved, or is anybody welcome?
Anyone within the statement of purpose. We have a statement of purpose. We fight homophobic sexism and we just fight a lot of political things, some political things. And anyone that, whether you have a lover, whether you're a woman, a Hispanic, and is welcome to come. And we fight. We have got involved in a lot of, like I said, Hispanic issues and different issues. So everyone is welcome, and we make everyone feel comfortable.